Hi guys! Today I'm going to recap a 2021 action comedy movie called Red Notice. This movie is about a thief and an FBI agent teaming up to steal one of the world's most sought-after and hidden treasures. So, how will their heist end up? Let's find out. Long ago, the Egyptian queen, Cleopatra, possessed 3 bejeweled golden eggs, said to be one of the most precious treasures known to man to this day. 2 of the eggs' whereabouts are known, but the 3rd egg remained hidden throughout the years. Many treasure hunters had tried to locate the 3rd egg to no avail. In the present day, FBI agent Hartley and Inspector Das from the Interpol arrive at a museum in Rome, which displays the 1st egg of Cleopatra. Hartley voices his concerns, telling the head of security of the museum to keep the guard up around the egg. However, he dismisses his concerns, telling Hartley not to worry about it. As they arrive at the display, the golden egg is still safe and in place. However, Hartley knows that there's more than meets the eye. Hartley pours some cola onto the egg, instantly melting the historical treasure. A replica has been put in place beforehand. The security immediately orders to close off all the entrances and exits, but a man manages to slip by the guards. The second best art thief in the world, Nolan Booth. Hartley manages to keep chasing the thief with the help of the Interpol, but Nolan manages to narrowly escape them all, leaving the authority dumbfounded by the thief with the precious egg in his possession. A few days later, Nolan arrives at his cottage in Bali with his spoils. To his surprise, Hartley is already there, inside his home. Shortly after, Das and the Interpol storm into the cottage and surround Nolan. Out of tricks, Nolan surrenders himself to the police and returns the egg to Hartley and the Interpol. As he is taken to the SUVs waiting, Hartley places the egg in the other SUV, afraid of Nolan's notorious escape and stealing skills. As Hartley walks off, a strike team member manages to slip behind Hartley and steals the case filled with the egg before the SUVs drive off. 2 days after the incident, Das and the Interpol confront Hartley at a bar, bringing a bag with her. Hartley, confused on what's going on, is quickly surprised by Das, taking out the egg of Cleopatra from the bag and dropping it on the floor, shattering it to pieces. The original egg was swapped by the unknown thief. As a result of his failure, Hartley is arrested and taken to a prison in Russia. There, he is met with a warm welcome from a familiar face, Nolan Booth, serving as his roommate in his prison cell. After causing a fight in the cafeteria, the 2 of them are taken to the office where they meet none other than the best art thief in the world, the Bishop. She originally supplied information for Hartley regarding the 1st egg of Cleopatra, but it was all part of her plan. The Bishop offers to free Nolan, but he has to tell her about the location of the 3rd egg. The offer isn't profitable for Nolan in the slightest, earning a quick pass from him. The Bishop then laughs it off and leaves the pair. Realizing that time is of the essence, Nolan and Hartley agree to work together. Their first goal is escaping the prison and making way to the 2nd egg. As Nolan starts devising an escape plan, the 2 of them start getting closer and forming a bond together after Nolan starts telling Hartley about his dark childhood. His father was a worse conman than Nolan, one who doesn't show love to his child after a mere misunderstanding. Nolan's father had accused him of stealing his watch and proceeded to ignore him for a whole year. Turns out, it was just hidden behind a stack of papers at his office. However, he never apologized. This incident left an emotional scar, triggering Nolan into becoming the man he is today. The next day, the escape plan is set in motion. They have only 24 hours to escape and head towards Valencia to infiltrate the home of a notorious arms dealer, Sotto Voce, who possesses the 2nd egg. An opportunity to escape arrives as Nolan causes a small explosion that alerts the guards, causing a small scuffle to start between them and the prisoners. Nolan and Hartley slip past the chaos and escape the facility. The job isn't done, however, for they have to sneak past another set of guards and steal a helicopter. The guards show no mercy, taking out firearms and even homing missiles to bring the pair to their demise, but the team manages to prevail and steal the aircraft, making their way to their next destination. The next evening, Nolan and Hartley arrive at Sotto Voce's masquerade ball. Their plan is much more complicated this time, due to the amount of defenses they have to go through to enter the room of Sotto Voce's treasure collection. They needed Sotto Voce's fingerprint, phone for the lock code of the room, and make it past plenty of security guards who rotate every few minutes. The window was extremely tight. Plus, they've got company. The bishop. Hartley seems to be double-crossing Nolan, not sticking to the plan, and instead starts negotiating with the bishop about his reputation. Their conversation is then cut off by sotto voce himself, who wishes to have a dance with the bishop. Nolan and Hartley regroup, Nolan unhappy with Hartley's actions. He is soon relieved, however, because it was all part of Hartley's plan, managing to steal sotto voce's phone, which is crucially needed to open the room. The two of them manage to smartly and carefully slip past the security, arriving at sotto voce's treasure room's door. Next is the fingerprint, carefully extracted from a mug that sotto voce had had his hands on. Succeeding in the process, Nolan unlocks sotto voce's phone to get the treasure room's lock code. Finally, Nolan uses his phone to turn his face and voice to sotto voce. The door recognizes the facial and voice recognition and unlocks itself. They enter and stare in awe at the showcase of glimmering treasures, but the centerpiece is still the second egg of Cleopatra. They approach the egg, but their joy is short-lived. The bishop somehow manages to arrive in the room also. A 2v1 fight occurs, with each of them making use of the many weapon artifacts inside the room. The bishop manages to skillfully use a spear and take care of the two men, putting them in handcuffs. Right afterwards, sotto voce makes an appearance and is revealed to be in cahoots with the bishop. Nolan and Hartley are then knocked unconscious. Plan failed. The next morning, at the Colosseum of Rome, Nolan and Hartley are cuffed up to a post by sotto voce and the bishop. Once again, the bishop asks Nolan to spill the beans regarding the location of the third egg, receiving the same answer. This time, the bishop starts electrocuting Hartley to get answers from the art thief. It didn't work at first, but Nolan eventually confesses after sotto voce steps in and starts choking Hartley. The third egg is in Egypt, in the secret tomb of Cleopatra inside the Great Pyramid. The egg never left Egypt. After receiving the information, the bishop and sotto voce have a toast of champagne as celebration. Right afterwards, sotto voce falls to the floor, betrayed by the bishop who has slipped something in his drink. She then leaves, making way to Egypt. Not long after, sotto voce wakes up with a hazy vision. He starts walking towards Nolan and Hartley while shooting towards them. His shots miss due to his drunken state, but actually land a hit to their cuffs. Hartley breaks free and knocks sotto voce unconscious. Hartley makes his way to the door to leave Nolan behind, but Nolan reveals that he had lied to the bishop. After giving it a thought, Hartley decides to free Nolan and leave the Colosseum. The two of them manage to board a cargo train, where Hartley opens up regarding his own problematic father. He was a conman who left Hartley and his mother at a young age. This triggers Hartley to become an FBI agent, planning to side with justice. Nolan also tells Hartley more regarding his past, which correlates to the location of the third egg. The watch that his father had loved so much, even breaking the bond between him and Nolan, actually belonged to Hitler's personal art dealer, who was believed to be the only man who had held Cleopatra's third egg. Nolan managed to have his hands on the watch, throwing it to the wall due to the anger he felt for how much the silly watch ruined his family. As he walked to pick up the pieces, he picked up a metal plate hidden in the watch. On the metal, there it was, the coordinates to the third egg engraved onto it. They're heading to Argentina. The next day, Nolan and Hartley scour through the jungle in Argentina. After a long and arduous walk, they arrive at the coordinates, finding nothing but plants around them. No secret bunker is found. Hartley starts threatening Nolan for conning him and throws his compass to the ground. However, instead of hearing a thud, they hear a clang, the sound of metal. The two of them start sweeping the weed below and reveal the secret bunker. They manage to open it and go down the stairs. They turn on the lights, staring at a huge metal door standing in their way. Nolan takes out his father's repaired watch and presses it onto the door. Shortly after, the chamber is open. Stepping inside it, Nolan and Hartley can see all the treasures hidden inside, making sotto voce's collection look like a mere bazaar. After walking around amazed at the amount of precious things inside, Nolan manages to find a box with Cleopatra written on it. Inside was the very thing everyone has been searching for. The third egg of Cleopatra. Their joy is cut short, however. The bishop makes an appearance. She was not fooled by Nolan's lies and followed them there. Not long after, Das and the Interpol storm in as well, planning to arrest the three criminals. Instead of fighting, the three thieves start working together to escape the Interpol. They manage to steal a car stashed in the chamber, driving off to the mines. The Interpol chase with antique cars of their own shortly after, not letting the criminals escape that easily. After a wild chase through the mines and a tussle along the way, the criminals manage to escape, free-falling into a small lake below the tunnel. Nolan is the first one to appear from the water, swimming to the land with the third egg in hand. He waits for a moment, but Hartley shows no sign of showing up. Nolan starts getting worried, even going to the extent of leaving the precious third egg to jump in the water with the intention of saving his friend. Hartley, however, shows up fine from behind, catching Nolan in his act. The bishop is last to show up from the waters, lying on the ground, defeated. Hartley approaches her to cuff her up, but instead of doing so, he kisses the bishop in front of Nolan. The realization hits Nolan hard. All this time, Hartley had been supplying the bishop with information from Nolan. It was a 2v1 against Nolan from the very beginning. Hartley cuffs Nolan up to a tree, the pair leaving him right afterwards. After their victory against Nolan and receiving millions of dollars from the eggs, Hartley and the bishop go on holiday in a yacht at Sardinia. To their surprise, Nolan appears from inside the yacht, greeting the two. After Nolan had been arrested by Das and the Interpol, he managed to escape before being held in prison once more. Also, he managed to tip Das with the bank account of the couple, freezing their $300 million payout from the eggs. Nolan had them in the palm of his hands. He then makes an unrefusable offer to the couple, inviting them to work as a team for another heist. They had no choice but to accept as the Interpol was already heading to their yacht. As the Interpol arrives, the three thieves are nowhere in sight. Slipped through their fingers once again. The movie ends with the trio of thieves approaching a museum, the location of their heist. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.